Hi everyone, this is Vicki and I am continuing on week 2 of the Artist Trading Card using this book as a guide. It's helped me to focus, and so I'm doing it in my own way. If you want to find out about the past 2 videos, I've explained why I'm doing this, and I will continue to do this. It helps me a lot to just take a few hours and just to be able to do something creative. And so this has been working for me. Had a few bumps, but I'll tell you about that in shortly. And what I'd like to do is tell you the first week I did was watercolor. And so I followed the Creative Cove, who is Michelle, and she had put out a mini watercolor and stamp creations that she did video and here on YouTube. And so I followed that and made these cards I showed you the last time. However, they weren't cut out, so I cut them out and finished them up pretty much. And so I did do some edging of some gold paint, and this is what I used. And it is Fine Tech, made in Germany. I don't know what that means. M60, I think, 600. So I used this that I got at the art warehouse over here in California many years ago, actually. And so I like this one color I use mostly to do a little bit of painting or just adding little colors here and there. But let me show you what the colors look like. It's some of these colors, right? Mostly these here. So it's quite pretty, I thought. So I did use that, and I did sprinkle. Look at this. So I don't know if you'll catch it in the light. The using, I guess not. The light is not picking it up, but it's shimmery, maybe in the other ones. And so, nope. But I can see it when I'm in the light, and you can see some of the shimmers from the paint that I used as well. But I did the edges. I thought it, went well for the cards to finish them. And I think this one I did. No, not this one. Let me see. There was one I did the artist trading card on the back. So I did do that one, but I intend to use these in different places, just as my learning experience, and you can see all that gold I sprinkled on that. And then also this one. So those are the ones that I did, and they were a lot of fun. Didn't take very much time, and I whizzed through it, and I will come back to watercolor. I really enjoy watercolor now because I hated the first class I ever took. But yes, I like freeform, and I will be doing more of these in the future. But I wanted to move on because there's other things I wanted to do. So I decided to go on to sewing, and there is actually several sewing bits in here. And I think it starts with, well, there's fused fibers, which also, okay, I think it's right here. So there's fused fibers, which it's not really sewing, but it's, using fibers. Oh, there's no sewing on fabric, and so there's that I have dabbled in a little bit. And then there's also, so there's a lot of sewing involved. Fused fibers, that involves a little more techniques and a little more products you need. Then there's hand stitching, of which I've done before, and I have some examples. And so then I thought I was going to do some sewing, machine sewing. And I did just a little bit because I basically, have sewn in my past. And not that I'm an expert, but I have done some, sewing. So I do know that, but there's a lot of sewing that I can be doing. So I just chose some of them. And of course, I started out with the hand sewing, and I had this a painting. I had some things already in the makes. Like I was going to do some. I bought this fabric at. This is actually towels, cloths. It's very thin. It's kind of like, I don't know, gauze, but thicker. And they use for dish towels. So I was going to make some printing dish towels. And so at one point, that's what I had. And so I had found one that I did with some painting. I think this is stenciling. I think I made my own stencil. And then did put some stenciling on that. So here's another one that I did. And the paint on here is more raised, and so I put some gold on it with my paintbrush, and so I thought that came out pretty good. Let me put this down so that you can see. Okay, so it's like the towel, and I got it at Walmart, a big package. So I had already had this here, so I just cut it to the size, and then I decided I was going to do some stitching. So I did the stitching, not putting it on paper, okay, yet, but I did some stitching all the way around, and when I started out, I started getting kind of wobbly, and I noticed I was thinking about other things not pertaining to stitching, and so it wasn't even, and so I thought I would, try to be a little bit better. So down here, I started getting better. So you get a little bit more mindful when you do the slow stitch, I believe they call it, which is just hand stitching, right? And so I started doing a little bit better, but my mind wanders. So I really tried to do that. So I noticed that in myself. And then I noticed, here, when I did stitch around this, I put a little batting behind here, and that it was coming out irregular. But then that is kind of endearing. So I left it, and then I did these cross stitches up here, and I put this on a backed it with cardstock, heavyweight cardstock, and then just put this gauze, because this reminded me of a injury, like first aid. So I just kind of went with it, the gauze, and then I put a little vintage button on there. So that's how the first one came out. I really like that. It's nice for Valentine's Day. And so I continued with that. And I do have a quilt that I washed that was vintage, and it fell apart. And so, you can still use it. Let me show you some things that I have used. So these things I've made in the past, and they are showing all the little bits that so old that when washed fell apart, and I made it at Christmas time, I guess. But I have all these things that are hanging around my table, and I have it hanging because some things that I love. You can see the hand stitching on here, and so I still have quite a bit of this quilt, but I did want to use that part of it and I use little trinkets that I have in my stash, and I made these kind of hanging things. I think I do like hearts. Try Heart Designs loves hearts, and I do love vintage, and I'm just going to show you a couple other things. So I do love hearts. I've made these in the past. I have videos on these if you want to check that out. Hand sewn that I made for my friends on YouTube when I first started YouTube. And then I just noticed this one hanging here on my side table, and it's the same one. So they have this long chain. So I have this hanging on the side here. So I guess that's kind of my inspiration that's been here. And so this is the second one that I made. And so this is the quilt. You can see the quilt here. It's a part of a wedding ring, I believe they call it, quilt. So I cut that up, and there's parts of it. So I did a blanket stitch on here, and just on the top I did a contrasting color here as well. And then I tried to do, I was practicing my slow stitching all the way around. And so this is another piece. You can see all my stitching I did, and just to be mindful of stitching. So I did, and I put a little heart here, crisscrossed it. So that's what I did. This is my second one. I may say, so you know what, I decided I love vintage. I love quilting, and I thought I was going to do a quilt, a little tiny quilt piece for next. And I couldn't get started. And I would start getting my research, getting all my little teeny papers and things ready, and I thought, and you know, I'd be frustrated. So I'd go to my room and think about what was it that was causing me to do that. And so I would write it all in my little book. So this is something that I'm going to keep and reread, and so I'm learning about myself as well, why I don't continue, why I stop and not want to go to my craft room. And so, you know, that's part of it. That's part of this journey. But there was something new that I wanted to try. So I bought all of these. This is where I thought, okay, this is a diversion, but it's still sewing. So I bought all this chenille it, and it was $8.99 a piece. So it's two. So I bought a whole bunch of these. My friend Elise had shown it on her video that they had that at this time. This is maybe 3 years ago. And so I had bought all these because I love chenille, vintage chenille. So I bought these, plus I bought the larger size. But these little size is what I used. The chenille, you know, it comes from my past. Chenille, I had a white one, I remember, chenille bedspread. And also, since then, in the past several years, I've been collecting from this lady who does clothing and different kinds of projects in chenille. So she sells her remnants. So I have a bag of all these remnants. But I thought, I'm going to try to make my own chenille piece on an ATC card. So here we go. It's this one. So I haven't tacked this down because I haven't decided if I'm going to do this. But this is what you do. You sew these pieces. Oh, this is what I did. All on here. And then you ruffled it up. and it becomes looking kind of like chenille. So I thought that's interesting. You can sew the name, a name on fabric or whatever, and then you can have a chenille. So I did do this, and I never have. I did one piece, I think. I can't remember recently, and I use this. Oh, on my that's what I did. Let me just show you, because this is my journey, and I'm taking you through all the thought processes. Okay, so I did do this, and you see, I did do this when I made my bookmarkers. So that is using all of the colors, and so I'll probably use this in a future project, but I have this to remind me, if I want to do some sewing projects, this is part of it. This is part of it. This is just pieces of, sitting around. I just put it together. These are little flowers that I deconstructed. And I don't know. Oh, here they are. Okay. So this was a flower. Okay, it was sitting on my desk. So I cut it up and made these little tiny things for here. All right. And so you can do that with these. These hearts, I can put this on here. And this, and sew it up. Put it on an ATC card. Like so. I can put it on here. Okay, so you get the idea. So the next thing I did was to do a free motion. Free motion, you have to buy, you have to have a machine, and you have to sewing machine, have to have that little piece that goes on the sewing machine. I thought that was so difficult for years now. I wanted to do it, and I said, this is so difficult. And one lady I was following said, you can buy the little piece and attach it to your sewing machine, and then you're ready to go. You don't have to buy a whole machine for it. And so I found out my number of my machine. I have a Singer, and I don't have a fancy one. It's very workhorse kind of a machine. And then inexpensive, and I bought one on Amazon. I attached it to my machine, and this is what I did. I took some vintage fabrics that I buy from this lady. She has little remnants, and I bought these vintage fabrics, and I just sewed on a piece of my yarn. I have this little puffy yarn, and then I put on some different layers of different parts of the like this is cross stitch. This is actual from the fabrics that she gave me. She cuts hers up and makes into aprons and children's clothing and all kinds of things. And then I took that part of that flower, and I just sewed it with the free motion stitch. So it was very fun, and let me show you what it looks like on the back. So that's what it looks like on the back. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so I got 4 cards already, but I wanted to carry it further, and so what I did was I liked putting those little pieces, all different kinds of pieces together, and so I started doing that. So I hand stitched a piece of lace over a little piece of vintage, must be like a pillow or a pillowcase, something. And it was just a piece, and so I still have more pieces of it, but I decided this is the background. And then I had some eyelet, and I thought I'll make this into something. And this is the background. And then I have this. Also, like this batten is called batten. I forgot what it's called, but I put that piece on here. And so I have these pieces ready to go, but I kept thinking about that quilting piece. And so I couldn't get started on it, and so I'm going to put it aside for a while. And I continued. Okay, so I found this piece of embroidery. I cut it out. I pieced it together and then kind of distressed it a little bit this is on purpose, and so I made it even more purposeful to make it look that way. I used that gold paint on the edges of cardstock, and I glued it, this whole piece, onto here. And then I just put some paper on the back side, and so I thought this needs something. I don't know what yet. It's not done. The next thing I did was I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to put on these things, and so I did find this piece, and I cut it to the size of the ATC. But I just love this. It's just so pretty. And I thought, well, maybe I could do something with it, but I couldn't think of anything. I wanted to make a little quilting thing, but I couldn't get into that right now. So I was playing with this piece of paper, and I said, these are so cute. You can just put these together. And similar to my friend Judy, who gave me this, she put these squares together and made a little booklet. I thought that was adorable. I just love this, and so I keep it here on my desk as well. It's a notepad, and so I thought, oh, I have these. I don't know where I got these. I think it's from long ago. So I have all these different ones, and so I started playing with these to put together. I said, these are much too big to put on an ATC card, like this. So I started tearing them apart. So I started tearing them apart and putting them together, and then I'm thinking, my gosh, this is paper. And I'm working on a sewing project. What am I doing? And so this is what it came out to be. This is from these squares. I tore them up and put them together, put that paint on in between and on the sides. And so I did this, and I thought, well, I'll just put it right on top of there. And that looks nice. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that. In fact, this, I don't know who sewed this, if I did that or whatever, but, or it came like that, I don't know. It's been in my stash. It looks nice like this. It's so cute. It looks like, those tiled trays that you get that are all the chipped little teacups and stuff or whatever, and then they're mosaically put together. It reminded me of that. And so I said kind of Italian, and so I got a piece, cut it out, and I made this. And let me move this because this is distracting. All these other pieces. So I made this little deal, and it just evolved. It was just a piece, and then I was just going to put it right on top and say call it a day, but it was missing something, and so I said, okay, well, I'm going to sew the top. I'm going to sew all the way around it. That's what I did. And then I said, I'll make a little hanger with wire. And so I worked on that. And then it was still look kind of plain, and I thought maybe it needs a big button. No, it's too dainty. And I went through my special flower box, and I found this one that I put all kinds of different ones on, and it, didn't speak to me. But this one did. And then I thought, I think I need some thread to match this here. So I took my thread, which is all vintage. I sew with all my little vintage. I have a lot of spools. So I use the vintage. And so I use this one and just, cut a bunch of it. It reminds me of hair. And I remember Marilyn G saying to me, "Oh, there's a hair in her package." And I thought, that's probably my hair, but whatever. And so I thought, this looks like hair. I like it. I like it. And so, wouldn't that be cool if you had a cup, a little bit of hair cut a piece of hair from your child, and then you could make something up and put it in onto something and put a little picture of her or something in there. And I thought, that's a great idea. And then I wanted something tiny. I couldn't find the right flowers. And so I decided to do Swarovski crystals. So I got my little box out after I found it. And then I took out these, and it just finishes it. I thought, so beautiful. And wait, put in this little picture, and it does look like it came out from Italy. It's just so pretty. Okay, but that's not all. I have a frame that I've had for years because I wanted to make this like that. I could put my cards, greeting cards, handmade greeting cards in here, and then I could change it out. So I picked the wood. I just made it all the way I liked it. And so it's going to take me a second, but wait for it, because this is going to be very special. You're going to like this that I had in my stash that I have, and it is just beautiful. It just is perfect. So I put it in this frame, and I love this frame. It's just been, sitting around empty. And so I'm putting it in this frame right now, and you're just going to love it. So here it is. So I'm going to step away, but this is the frame that I have, and it's just beautiful. And then this is what it looks like against the black. Isn't it so pretty? I just love this. This look is just blowing me away. So anyway, so that's all I have for today. And since I didn't do my the one that I wanted to do, I am going to extend my sewing for another week. Maybe it'll be half a week, but at any rate, I think that I'm going to do a little bit more exploring on the sewing, so that I have a reference for the future. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a fun weekend, and in your craft room creating something wonderful. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.